Hello and welcome everybody. It is lesson number 5. So we're talking about SDG number 5, which is gender equality. My guest today is absolutely incredible, but I'm not going to tell you about her. I'm going to hand over to her and she'll tell you all about herself.
All right, thank you so much, Harry. Hello, everyone. My name is Oluwadamilola Akintewe. I am a Nigerian. I am also a feminist, proudly. I believe in the ideology that women's rights are humans' rights. And this is why I've been working for the past 4 to 5 years in Nigeria and majorly West Africa around women's rights and girls' rights, bridging the gap between access to equality, quality education, economic opportunities for women and girls, and basically creating better standards and livelihoods for women in Nigeria. I am also the founder of Forbidden Topics. It is a movement where young women come together to speak out against social injustices that are particular to women's health and rights. And Forbidden Topics has shared the stories of women from 25 countries and counting. So we're moving at a sporadic level, and that is just amazing. Thank you so much for having me on your show today, Harry.
Oh, it is such a pleasure. I mean, I've been following you and reading quite a lot about you recently, and it's blown my mind to see what you've achieved so far. But I'd also like to know, what is your biggest goal in life? So you've done a lot. You've really done a lot. But what is your biggest goal? I'm not going to say end goal, but your biggest goal in life.
Okay, so if you ask me, like you just did, my biggest goal is just, as cliched as this might be, is for a gender equal world. The truth is, there are so many underlying issues that affect women and girls. I am coming from Nigeria, and Nigeria as a country is not a saint. Nigeria still has a long way to go in achieving gender equality in every sector, from business to even education. We have people who do not enroll their girls to schools as early as primary and secondary education, not to even talk of tertiary and professional education, just because they believe that, okay, so what are you going to amount to? You're a woman, you're a girl, you're going to marry somebody, and that's going to be the end of it. So if you ask me, I hope that one day these issues that we have, these issues that are prevalent in our society that affect women stepping up into positions, I look for a world where it will no longer exist. A world where young girls can sincerely and in all practicality reach their fullest potentials without being held down by social misconceptions as to their abilities on the basis of gender. I look forward to a world where women earn the same as men in pretty much every field. I also look forward to a world where, when we have women like taking up spaces in powerful positions, we wouldn't be surprised, because it will be the norm. You understand me? It will be so normal, like seeing a bird fly. So this is the end game for me. Yeah. And as a law student, this is what I want to do subsequently. So I'm sure we'll have more to talk on this conversation. So let's go.
Absolutely, we do. So that's your biggest goal in life. And what would you say is your biggest achievement so far?
Okay, so I think so far, my biggest achievement will be making top 10 of the inaugural Global Student Prize. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm sure you should know about the Global Teachers Prize. It's the teachers' variation of the Nobel, which is amazing because for the past 1 decade, they've been amplifying teachers who are creating innovative way of passing information. And sincerely, if you ask me, I believe no profession will exist without teachers. So they should be applauded, they should be celebrated as much as we are going to celebrate a president. So this year, the same organization in partnership with CHEG, they created the inaugural Global Student Prize. And I applied because, of course, I believe that I am what a leader should be made of. Someone who is passionate, who have ideas, and not only ideas, who is capable to bring other people to buy into the idea of sustainability she has to sell. So we started from 3,500 students from 94 countries. And as of today, we're now top 10. And I happen to be the only Nigerian and one of the 3 Africans that made the list, which is amazing. So it's not just about the recognition, it's the mindset reorientation that this being on that list is bringing to me. So on my campus, I have more people showing interest in the SDG now, which is shocking because it's not really that popular where I am. I have my faculty trying to create a student leadership scheme, which is, wow, welcome. This is change that we should welcome. So I love it. I love what this recognition brings. And this is so far my best achievement right now. Aside from seeing my work influence young women and girls, aside from giving them a platform where they can be seen and heard and understood and safe and protected, this is or will be the best achievement.
It's fantastic. It's absolutely wonderful. And yeah, congratulations on that. It really is a huge achievement.
Thank you.
So away from that, what are some of the hurdles that you've had to overcome along the way? What have been some of the most difficult things?
Okay, so one of them is, of course, sexism. Like, are you surprised? So I remember in 2019, I had this wonderful project I've been running. It's called Let Girls Lead. And I created it because I just wanted to set a different precedent for young women. Like, I have this ideology that we should catch them young. Let them understand their ability right from a heady age, so that when they grow with this mindset of, oh, I am capable. I have everything it takes to aspire to whatever. So the program basically provides mentorship opportunities for girls in secondary school here in Nigeria. And we've gone to like 3 states in Nigeria, over 3,000 girls from 2019. But in the earliest the days of the project, I approached this school with a concept note with my team, a very rural school. And the principal looked at me. I had a whole females team. It was not planned. I also had men in my team. But on this particular day, I went with my female team members. So we got all corporately dressed up and we went to the school, and the principal, who is a man, gave us a 1 down. He just looked at us and was like, okay, what is wrong with you girls? To him, we were the defiant. He looked at me and said, in our culture, education for women isn't that much of a big deal. So why are you stressing yourself? Why are you telling these girls something that couldn't be? And, I was very young. I was 19 then. I had so much ideas in my head. And I think that would be the very first obvious antagonism I received working in SDG 5. So I decided I wasn't going to let this man rattle me. I mean, he's an elderly person, I think in his late 50s or early 60s. So I kept going to the school for like a whole term. Eventually he burst and he eventually gave in. I was like, okay, come run your project, get out of my face. Well, I think we need more people who is, should I say, defiant, adamant, because sincerely, history is made by people who are both male and female, people who do not accept the norm as the standard of life, people who ask questions, people who want to see change. And this is just one of the several instances of sexism faced working around gender equality in Nigeria, and also the ageism culture. Now, when people look at you, oh, you're so young. What do you know? I'm 22. I work with people who are as old as 52, 55. And while some are actually welcoming to new ideas, some are downright insulting, like, oh my God, like I have my daughter is older than you. What do you think you know? You get that? But we can't let them pull us down. I believe my generation is the generation that is actually stepping up And we're showing the world that we have skills, we have abilities, we can take up leadership positions, and we would do absolutely well in there. So one or two antagonism isn't enough to make us say, oh my God, I'm no longer doing again, because we owe it to others who also look up to us for inspiration. And this has been my mantra, to continue going, to continue breaking every of those stereotypes, because the more hurdle you accomplish, the easier it becomes for people behind you, because your life has been like some sort of a footstep in the snow or footstep in the desert. They now have guidance and understanding, and it's better. Yeah, thank you.
I couldn't agree more with you on so many aspects that you just mentioned there. I mean, I'm a part of a charity called Kids Against Plastic, which is run by two incredible humans, Amy and Ella Meek, who are 16 and 18. And I know, both from my point of view, as you know, an old man looking in, I see their enthusiasm, I see their passion, and for me, it's inspirational. But I've learned so much from these people. I've learned so much from them. It's been so inspiring for me. But I also see them empowering young people. So my daughter's a member of Kids Against Plastic, and I just see them, like, growing and becoming more confident, and it's just incredible. And it's time that my generation, the generation above me, stopped and listened, because you know, the younger generations, maybe you don't know everything, but you certainly have ideas, because we definitely don't know everything. You know, everybody has their own skill set, and we all need to learn from each other. So
all hands on deck.
Exactly. So the next question I'd like to ask you is, how can we all make a difference in creating a world free of inequalities?
Okay, thank you so much for that question, Ari. So I am going to say that one of the ways we can create change is to believe that we can actually create change. You know, most people look up to big celebrities, billionaires, and they think, oh my God, I have to be a celebrity, I have to be a billionaire before I can do something. But the truth is, it's all about small drops of water that makes an ocean. For example, there was a conversation I had with other women recently, and I told them that not everybody will be openly a feminist. Not everybody will openly identify as a gender equality advocate, but whatever space you find yourself, are you holding the fort for women? Are you looking away from inequality because it does not specifically affect you? And this is why we need allyship. For example, in sports is one of the major fields where the pay disparity is obvious. Sports and the media, and in this kind of spaces, to call for equality, we need men as allies, because of course you're getting paid higher. Can you stand up for your female colleagues and say, oh, this person is wonderful, this person has been doing so well, I believe they should be paid? So I believe that each of us have a role to play, and it is about realizing in our individual spaces, whether in your field of study or in your career or in your profession, what are you doing? How are you contributing your own part? Are you speaking up against social injustices? It could be racism, it could be climate justice. Are you recycling? Or do you just contribute to the planet's degradation? Are you helping? Are you passing down skills, good skills that can solve SDG 1, which is no poverty? Are you creating spaces? Are you creating jobs for women who are abused women, single moms? You get. So I believe that each and every one of us, if we can, in our own spaces, think of ways we can give something. It doesn't have to be big. The worst, nothing is the worst. Like if you don't do anything, that's the worst. But if you do something, irrespective of how tiny it may be, it goes a long way. It has the power to have multiple effects, ripple effects. And that is the idea. I mean, if I'm holding space in my own part of the world, You are doing amazingly well in your own part of the world. Let's say in a decade, we combine all this effort together. Before we know it, we have a better world. So creating a better world is not an abstract idea. It's not far-fetched. It is our responsibility, our collective responsibility. And this is the ways we all can create change, especially on gender equality.
Oof, very, very powerful, what you're saying there. And I couldn't agree more, particularly, I want that message to go through to most of our students, most of the people who are involved in renewable English are between kind of 12 and 20 years old. So like that is a great moment when they are discovering themselves, their own personalities. It's a great time to go out there and make that difference. If you hear somebody saying something that isn't okay, call them out on it. Don't just ignore it.
Exactly. Don't keep quiet. Silence is valid.
Exactly. So I wonder if you could give us, now this is going to be a difficult one, I know. I wonder if you could give us 3 tips that would help us reduce inequalities. So like on a personal level, what are 3 things that we can do?
Okay. Point 1, speak out. Always speak out. Don't be the silent bystander. Either as a male or as a female, we have women who have privileges, and their privileges in a way have protected them. For example, somebody who was born to wealth, there is a particular level of inequality that they may not face in their entire lifetime. But the fact that they are not facing it does not mean that it does not exist. So speak out. That will always be very important. When you see something going on and it is not wrong, even if you're not the first point of contact, don't look away, because your silence is injurious to the victim at this particular moment. So number 1, speak out. Number 2, be an ally. Now, speaking out is also an offshoot of being an ally. An ally in the sense that also don't just complain about the problem. Are you providing solution? I gave an example. There's this amazing woman I met last month at a feminist retreat, the Nigerian Feminist Forum retreat here in Nigeria. And what she does is that she owns a small business, a small manufacturing business. And the only people she hires are women who were victims of domestic violence. And she tells you that you may come to her and accuse her of disenfranchised or inequality on the male gender, but she says she's not going to apologize for it because she has seen a particular gap and she's committed to bridging that gap. So she pays this woman good money. Sometimes she helps them cover the academic fees of their children, but she's to an extent helping them in solving a major problem, financial inequality. So she's an ally and she's proud of it. So this is the other way. I'm okay. Creating jobs could be, far-fetched. I mean, not everybody have the resources to create jobs, but if for opportunities, are you referring women? Because the truth is, we have women in every field who are doing amazingly well. The difference is that they don't have the spotlight. They don't have the amplification as men. I mean, if we go into football, we have women who are doing amazingly well. If we go to healthcare, if we go into STEM, science and technology, if we go into media, we have women in there. The difference is just that they may not be as popular or as renowned as the men, but it doesn't mean we don't have women who are doing fantastically well. So are you referring women for opportunities? I have this rule. And I created this rule due to my feminism and gender equality advocacy. When I see opportunities, the very first thing I think of are women who have the skill set. Now, I would have thought of like 5 women before I thought of one male. It's not me trying to be mean or wicked or take away opportunities from a particular gender, but no, I believe that there is a lot of disparity on ground, and I am doing my quota to bridging that gap. So, number 1, speak out. Number 2, be an ally, and number 3, activism. Now, activism is not going to be. Not everybody will be at the front line, like I said. It's not everybody's going to be Greta Thunberg. Not everybody will be Malala Yousafzai. But in our individual space, we can be activists. We have social media on your Twitter feed, on your Facebook feed, on your Instagram. What are you posting there? Are you retweeting sexist jokes? Yeah, are you making comments are you making unsolicited comments on women's body on Instagram? These things look so tiny, but they are not really tiny. They are very important. So these are the three ways I believe that we can all contribute in our individual spaces. It's basically activism for dummies.
I love what you said there at the end about what's going on your social media, because again, that's another place where you can really make a difference. You can call these things out, you can call them out. You can, all of these comments, all of these things can very easily be reported. You don't, if you don't want to stand up to it, like I personally, if I see something sexist or racist or, in any way not okay or homophobic, for example, I'll stand up to the person and I'll say, and, I'll speak to them, I'll message them, whatever. Some people don't want to be confrontational in that way, and I can understand if they don't. There are different levels of activism and so on.
True.
But you can report these comments. You can make it known to authorities that these things are happening, and make it known that it's dangerous. Not okay. Exactly.
I have a movement that I organize with my friend. This is basically what we do. So when we go on social media and we see very hateful comments, homophobic comments, sexist comments, we are like 10 in number, and each and every one of us reports the account. Then we share to our friends to report. Now, this is a subtle form of activism because you're not actually having a facial confrontation, but in a way, you're calling the appropriate authorities to see that this action is dangerous and it should not be condoned. So this could be a form of activism. And this is 2021. Social media is a vital part of our lives. We are so ingrained into social media, and I believe that these platforms could be used for social good if only we can see it, and if only we are ready to do the necessary activities. So calling people out on social media is one of the ways that we can contribute a part, and it goes a long way, because by reporting one nasty post, you could indirectly save someone from mental health issues, because the effect of social media goes into real life, where people commit suicide, they overdose just because they could not take the amount of hate coming to them. So it's just we doing our part. Like I said, small drops of water make a mighty ocean.
I've got one more question for you.
Okay.
Before I get onto that, I do want to quickly mention again about you mentioned about activism is a great thing to do, and I love that you brought out the point. Not everybody is Greta. Not everybody wants to be out there on the front line shouting. There are so many other ways to be an activist, and that just is. An activist is somebody who's taking action, who's doing something about it. It doesn't have to be screaming on the front lines, and if you're not comfortable with that, but there are other ways to deal with it. So I love that point. Now, the last question I want to bring up, and I know there's a lot of things involved in this here, but what are some of, again, we've made big steps in some areas of the world in terms of equality. In some places there have been big steps, but there are still far too many old white men at the top of everything, which isn't okay. So what are some of the biggest problems preventing gender equality?
Okay, so let's start with patriarchy. So one of the misconceptions in Nigeria is that they believe feminism is man-hating. If you ask a typical Nigerian, they tell you, oh my God, you're a feminist, you're a man-hater. You hate men. Don't you have a father?
Oh, it makes me so mad. Why do people think that?
Exactly.
Why do people think that? What is that? What is that all about?
Well, the truth is, feminism is not man-hating. Feminism has never been man-hating, and it will never be man-hating. Rather, feminism is antagonism antagonism against a particular system called patriarchy. Now, patriarchy is so ingrained in our society that sometimes people are supporting patriarchy, but they don't know that they are basically patriarchy foot soldiers, even women. So sometimes when you ask me, it's not necessarily the fault of the old white men at the top. It's because the system favors them. And it is in the nature of humans in general, to support something that favors us. I am advocating for feminism because feminism on the long run supports my gender as a woman. It is in our nature. So how do we solve this? Education. Education will always be important. And not necessarily the old people, because if you ask me, I would say their era is almost gone. It's about educating the new generation. We have this phrase in Nigeria, we call it catch them young. Instead of let's go to the primary schools, let's have conversations with the boys, with the girls. We need to raise a new generation that understands that the advancement of a particular gender does not automatically mean the reduction of the other gender. I mean, because women are rising does not mean men will decrease. No, we can all coexist. These resources can go across board. I mean, I could have a co-worker who is a male at work and we would do absolutely well without hatred, without anger. So these are the values we should be preaching to the new generation. Let's start from the little ones, because the truth is, if we don't start now, in a few decades, we'll look back and we realize that we continue a very terrible trend, that we forgot to handle the problem from the root.
Exactly.
The truth is, if my grandfather was alive, he would never buy into gender equality. He would never buy into it. And you can't blame him. It was his generation. His generation knew nothing of gender equality. They don't care about it. But I can't explain gender equality to such an elderly person. But then I could tell my dad, who is way much younger, who is seeing things in a different era, he could buy into the idea. So let's attack the problem from the roots rather than just chopping off the shrubs.
Absolutely.
So this is my answer.
I absolutely, I love this point of view. And one of the phrases I really hate that they say a lot, in the UK especially, but boys will be boys. Well, that's not an excuse. That is not an excuse for something, this boy did this, boys will be boys. Well, no, we need to teach boys not to be like that, in which case. I read a quote the other day that said, we're doing well at raising our daughters to be more like our sons. Maybe it's time we started raising our sons to be more like our daughters.
Like our daughters, yeah. I saw something similar.
Yeah, I think that attitude of, we shouldn't be trying to raise women to stand up and be like men. We should be raising everybody to just, as you say, coexist. I think, in my opinion, that is for me the end goal. That is what I hope for my daughter. She's a very strong, independent 8-year-old girl who doesn't really, there are times when I wish she would listen to me a bit more, but that's just, because I want her to tidy her room and stuff. But, I can see her personality shining through, and that gives me great hope for the future. But as I say, it shouldn't be us trying to raise young women to be able to stand up against men. We should be raising young women and young men to kind of stand up together.
True.
But that's just my opinion.
Very, very important.
So I'm going to say thank you very much. I've taken enough of your Sunday afternoon. So thank you very much for your time. Continue doing what you're doing, which is absolutely incredible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been a real pleasure.
It's my pleasure as well. Thank you.
So much.